The sun was blazing on the first day of university orientation, and Amaka was already late. She hurried across the sprawling campus, clutching her admission letter and a faded handbag her mother had insisted was just right for her first day. She wasn't paying attention to where she was going when she collided with someone, sending her papers flying. "I'm so sorry," she stammered, bending to gather the scattered sheets. "It's fine. Happens to the best of us," said the stranger, crouching to help. That was how Amaka met Chica. Chica had an air of quiet confidence that immediately intrigued Amaka. Her sharp eyes, perfectly braided hair, and deliberate movements spoke of someone who was used to handling herself. Amaka, on the other hand, was all nervous energy and bright smiles. Despite their differences, they clicked instantly. "Are you in the social sciences faculty too?" Amaka asked as they walked toward the orientation hall. "Yep, sociology major." "You?" "Same. What are the odds?" From that moment, they were inseparable. The first semester was a whirlwind of lectures, assignments, and late-night study sessions. Amaka and Chica became known as the sister duo on campus. Amaka's warmth balanced Chica's reserved nature, and together they navigated the challenges of university life. They shared everything: meals, notes, secrets, and even dreams. Amaka would often talk about her future plans, her voice full of excitement. "Someday, I'll have a big family. 2 kids, maybe 3, and a loving husband. You'll be their favorite aunt, of course." Chica would laugh and nod, but deep inside, something stirred. She couldn't help but compare her life to Amaka's. While Amaka's family was close-knit and supportive, Chica's upbringing had been far from ideal. Her parents were distant, her siblings competitive, and love had always felt conditional. As their friendship deepened, Chica began to notice how effortlessly Amaka attracted people. Professors remembered her name, classmates sought her help, and even strangers seemed drawn to her vibrant energy. At first, Chica admired her friend's charisma, but admiration soon gave way to envy. "It's not fair," Chica thought one evening as they studied in their tiny shared dorm room. Amaka was flipping through a textbook, humming softly. She gets everything handed to her on a silver platter, and she doesn't even realize it. Chica shook off the thought, feeling guilty. Amaka was her friend, practically her sister. She shouldn't feel this way. But envy is a seed that grows in silence. In the coming years, as they progressed in levels, their friendship continued to blossom. Everyone envied their friendship. They went everywhere together, from classes to restaurants, to church, to parties, and many other places. Their friendship was filled with love, support, and sisterhood. Towards the end of their final year, the 2 friends sat under a massive tree near the library, talking about life after graduation. "You know what?" Amaka said, her eyes sparkling. "When we're old and wrinkled, I hope we're still this close. You'll live next door to me, and our kids will play together. We'll grow old laughing at how silly we were in university." Chica smiled. "Sure, why not?" But as Amaka spoke about her dreams of marriage and family, Chica's smile faltered. She had no such dreams. Her experiences with relationships had been fleeting at best, and the idea of a happy family felt like a distant fantasy. Still, she nodded along, hiding her true feelings. "I'll always be there for you, Amaka," Chica said, her voice soft but firm. She meant it, or at least, she believed she did at the time. One day Amaka helped Chica with a particularly challenging assignment, staying up late to ensure her friend didn't fail the course. Amaka slept off immediately they were done, her face serene and full of trust, while Chica stared at her. "You don't even know what you have, Amaka," Chica whispered to herself. "But maybe someday I will." The chapel was filled with the sweet scent of roses and the soft hum of voices as Amaka walked down the aisle, her hand trembling in her father's firm grip. Her wedding gown shimmered under the light, and her radiant smile lit up the room. Kenechukwu waited at the altar, his face a mixture of love and awe. Chica sat in the front pew, clapping the loudest when the priest declared Amaka and Kenechukwu husband and wife. Her smile was genuine, but her hands trembled slightly as she clutched her purse. Marriage brought Amaka into a new phase of happiness. Kenechukwu was a man of integrity, hardworking and deeply in love with his wife. He surprised Amaka with romantic dinners, family trips, and thoughtful gifts, always putting her happiness first. Within a few years, the couple welcomed two children, Ada, a curious 5-year-old with her mother's smile, and Namdi, a mischievous toddler who adored his father. Their home was warm and filled with laughter. Amaka often shared stories of her life with Chika during their regular phone calls. "You should see Keen with Namdi," Amaka would say, her voice brimming with joy. "He's such a good father. I'm so lucky." Chika would smile on the other end, offering congratulations. But each word dug into her heart like a needle. As Amaka's life flourished, after university, Chika struggled to find a stable job. She bounced between roles, often complaining to Amaka about her bad luck. While Amaka's life was filled with family and love, Chika lived alone in a modest apartment, her nights quiet and uneventful. When Amaka invited her over for dinner, Chika eagerly accepted, craving the warmth of her friend's home. The dinner was everything Chika had imagined, and more. Amaka welcomed Chika with open arms, cooking her favorite dishes and insisting she spend the night. Kenechukwu carried Namdi on his shoulders, making him giggle uncontrollably, while Ada ran circles around the dining table. Chika sat back, sipping her wine, observing the life she had always dreamed of. Amaka's world was perfect, and she was an outsider looking in. Amaka is so lucky, Chika thought. But does she even appreciate it? Later that evening, as the children slept and Kenechukwu went to his study, the two friends sat on the veranda. Chika shared her frustrations about her job and dating life. "Sometimes I wonder if I'll ever find someone who loves me the way Keen loves you," she said, her voice laced with bitterness. Amaka reassured her, saying, "You're amazing, Chika. The right man is out there for you. And until then, you have us, your family." Chika forced a smile, but her thoughts betrayed her. "I don't want to be a part of your family. I want what you have." Over the next few months, Chika became a regular visitor to the OB's home. Keen was always polite and welcoming, often including Chika in family outings or offering career advice. Amaka shared every detail of her life with Chika, oblivious to the growing resentment brewing in her friend. But Chika's envy was like a fire, slowly consuming her. She began to fixate on Kenechukwu, admiring his patience, charm, and success. One night, as Chika lay in bed replaying the day's events, she made a quiet vow. "I deserve happiness too," she whispered to herself. "And if she doesn't appreciate what she has, maybe I will." It began subtly, almost imperceptibly. Chika's plan to dismantle Amaka's perfect life wasn't hurried or careless. She took her time, weaving her lies with precision and laying the groundwork for the chaos to come. She wasn't just going to take Amaka's life. She wanted Amaka to destroy it herself. One evening, as the two women chatted over tea, Chika dropped her first hint. "Do you ever feel like he takes you for granted?" she asked, her tone casual. Amaka frowned, caught off guard. "What do you mean?" "Oh, nothing," Chika said with a dismissive wave. "It's just, I've noticed that he doesn't always acknowledge how much you do for him. You're running a home, raising 2 kids, and still making time for him. Does he ever thank you?" Amaka hesitated. It wasn't something she'd ever thought about before. Kenechukwu was a good man. She knew that. But now that Chika had mentioned it, she realized he hadn't said thank you in a while. "It's probably nothing," Chika added quickly. "I just thought you deserved to hear it." The seed was planted. Over the next few weeks, Chika continued her subtle campaign. To Amaka she said, "I noticed Keen was a bit short with you earlier. Are you two okay? Or, you're so patient with him. I don't know if I could handle that." Another time, she said to Kenechukwu, "Amaka seems distracted these days. Is everything all right at home? Or, she's probably just tired, but you might want to check in with her." Chika positioned herself as a caring friend to both, a confidant who only wanted the best for their marriage. But every word was designed to create cracks. Chika's real genius lay in her ability to orchestrate moments that validated her lies. Chika convinced Amaka to attend a last-minute meeting, knowing Kenechukwu would be expecting her at home for a family lunch. When Kenechukwu called, Amaka snapped at him, stressed by the meeting. Chika smiled in the background, knowing she had orchestrated the misunderstanding. During a dinner party, Chika subtly encouraged a male colleague to be overly friendly with Amaka. When Kenechukwu noticed, Chika leaned in and whispered, "I'm sure it's innocent, but you might want to keep an eye on him." The tension between Amaka and Kenechukwu grew, fueled by misunderstandings and miscommunications. One night, after another argument, Kenechukwu confided in Chika. "I don't know what's happening," he admitted, his voice heavy with frustration. "Amaka's not the same. She's distant, irritable. It's like she doesn't care anymore." Chika placed a comforting hand on his shoulder. "I'm sure it's just a phase. Marriage has its ups and downs." "But," she hesitated, as if debating whether to continue. "But what?" Kenechukwu pressed. "It's probably nothing," Chika said, lowering her gaze. I've noticed she's been spending a lot of time with that colleague of hers. It's probably work-related, but I thought you should know." Kenechukwu's expression darkened, and Chika knew she had him. At the same time, Chika worked on Amaka, subtly encouraging her to challenge Kenechukwu's authority. "Don't let him walk all over you, Amaka," she said one afternoon. "You're not just a wife, you're a person too. If he can't see that, maybe he needs a wake-up call." Amaka, frustrated and confused, began to act out. She became more outspoken, more critical, more unlike herself. And Chika was always there, ready to fan the flames. One evening, after a particularly heated argument, Kenechukwu confronted Amaka. "Do you even care about this marriage anymore?" he demanded. Amaka stared at him, stunned. "What kind of question is that?" "You're not the woman I married," Kenechukwu said, his voice breaking. "And I don't know if we can fix this." From the shadows, Chika watched, her expression unreadable. That night Amaka sat alone in her room, staring at her reflection in the mirror. She barely recognized the woman looking back at her. "I don't know what's happening to me," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. Meanwhile, Chika was in her own apartment, sipping a glass of wine and smiling to herself. This is just the beginning, she thought. Chika knew she couldn't afford to rush the next phase of her plan. Amaka and Kenechukwu's marriage was fragile, but not yet broken. To succeed, she needed to create the perfect storm, one that left no room for reconciliation. But she also knew Kenechukwu was a man of principle. To truly win him over, she had to position herself as his refuge, the antidote to the chaos she was creating in his life. Amaka and Kenechukwu's home, once filled with warmth and laughter, now simmered with tension. Small disagreements escalated into full-blown fights. Amaka often found herself apologizing for things she didn't even understand, while Kenechukwu grew colder and more distant. Amaka couldn't pinpoint when things had started falling apart. "Maybe I'm just tired," she told herself, but deep down, she felt the weight of something more sinister. Chika was always present, but never overt. Chika fed the fire. "Sometimes men don't appreciate what they have until it's gone," she would tell Amaka. To Kenechukwu, she offered a listening ear, saying, "Marriage can be exhausting, but you're doing the best you can." Chika's ultimate goal was to make Kenechukwu see her as the ideal woman. Everything Amaka no longer seemed to be. She began dressing more elegantly whenever she visited the house, subtly complimenting Kenechukwu on his achievements. "You're so hard-working, Ken. Amaka is lucky to have you," she would say, her tone just warm enough to linger in his mind. During one of her visits, Chika noticed Kenechukwu struggling to fix a leaky faucet. "Let me help," she said, rolling up her sleeves. By the time Amaka returned home, the faucet was fixed, and Chika was laughing with Kenechukwu over a shared joke. When Amaka complained about Kenechukwu's attitude, Chika would nod sympathetically but subtly shift the blame. "Maybe he feels unappreciated," she'd suggest. Kenechukwu began to notice her more, though he didn't fully understand why. Chika's moment came during Kenechukwu's birthday party. Amaka, overwhelmed with work and family responsibilities, threw together a small, last-minute celebration. It was enough for the children, but Kenechukwu seemed disappointed. 2 days later, Chika surprised him at his office with a homemade cake and a thoughtful gift, a leather-bound journal engraved with his initials. "I just thought you deserved something special," she said, her eyes soft with sincerity. Kenechukwu was touched. For the first time, he began to see Chika not just as Amaka's friend but as a woman. Chica knew the time was right to make her move. But first, she needed to isolate Amaka further. One evening, she casually mentioned to Kenechukwu, "I saw Amaka talking to that colleague of hers again. They seemed close, but I'm sure it's nothing." That same day, she said to Amaka, "You're always so stressed, Amaka. Maybe that's why Keen's been pulling away. Men need to feel needed, you know?" The final straw came when Chica arranged for Amaka to accidentally miss one of Ada's school events. She had convinced Amaka it was on a different day, knowing Kenechukwu would be furious. "I don't even know who you are anymore," Kenechukwu said that night, his voice heavy with disappointment. Amaka was devastated, and Chica was there to pick up the pieces of both of them. Chica didn't need to seduce Kenechukwu physically, at least, not at first. She seduced him emotionally, becoming the person he confided in, the person who seemed to understand him when his wife no longer did. One evening, after another argument with Amaka, Kenechukwu found himself driving to Chica's apartment. She welcomed him with open arms, offering him a drink and a quiet space to vent. As the night wore on, Kenechukwu found himself leaning closer to Chica. "You've been such a good friend," he murmured, his voice thick with emotion. Chica smiled but didn't push further. She knew the time would come. Amaka wasn't blind to the changes in her marriage, but she couldn't bring herself to suspect Chica. Until one day, when Ada innocently mentioned, "Auntie Chica was here again, Mommy. She made Daddy laugh a lot." The words hit Amaka like a punch to the gut. She began to notice things. The lingering looks, the private conversations, the way Kenechukwu seemed happier when Chica was around. Her confrontation with Chica was bitter and explosive. "How could you?" Amaka screamed. "After everything we've been through?" Chica didn't deny it. Instead, she smiled coldly and said, "Maybe you should have appreciated what you had before someone else did." By the time Kenechukwu asked Amaka to leave, she was too emotionally exhausted to fight. "You've changed, Amaka," he said, his voice devoid of the warmth it once held. "I don't think this is working anymore." With her children in tow, Amaka left the home she had built, her heart shattered. As she walked away, Chica stood in the doorway, watching with a satisfied smirk. "This house is mine now," she thought. Chica finally had everything she had dreamed of. She was no longer an outsider looking in. She was the woman of the house, the wife of a successful man, the mother figure to two beautiful children. At least, that was the picture she painted for the world. In truth, Chica's victory was bittersweet. Although she had taken Amaka's place, the life she envisioned wasn't as perfect as she imagined, and her true colors, hidden beneath a polished exterior, began to seep through. Chica wasted no time making her presence felt in the Obi household. The first thing she did was replace every trace of Amaka in the house. The family portraits were swapped for new ones, the walls repainted in her favorite colors, and even the children's bedrooms were redecorated to reflect her style. Ada and Namdi, confused and hurt by their mother's absence, were initially distant, but Chica showered them with gifts and affection, determined to make them forget Amaka. "You can call me Auntie Chica," she told them with a sweet smile. "Or even Mommy, if you'd like." The children hesitated, but Chica was patient. She knew it was only a matter of time. Life with Kenechukwu wasn't as smooth as Chica had hoped. Though he tried to convince himself he had made the right decision, Kenechukwu couldn't shake the guilt of sending Amaka away. He missed her warmth, her laughter, and the way she made their house feel like a home. Unlike Amaka, who had been selfless and accommodating, Chica was quick to voice her frustrations. "I'm not your maid, Keen," she snapped one evening when he asked her to prepare dinner. "I'm your wife." Their arguments grew frequent, though Chica always managed to smooth things over with her charm. As Kenechukwu's personal life unraveled, so did his business. Kenechukwu's focus wavered, leading to poor decisions that cost him several key clients. Instead of supporting him, Chica grew frustrated. "What do you mean we can't afford the new car?" she demanded one day. "I didn't marry you to struggle, Keen." Her words stung, but Kenechukwu said nothing. Deep down, he began to realize that Chica was not the woman he thought she was. Chica's true nature, once carefully hidden, began to reveal itself. She snapped at the children when they were too loud, often sending them to their rooms with harsh words. She insisted on expensive outings and lavish gifts, even as Kenechukwu's finances dwindled. She left most of the household chores to the maids, rarely spending time with the children unless it benefited her image. The staff whispered among themselves, comparing her to Amaka. Madame Amaka was different, one of them said. She cared about everyone in this house. Kenechukwu's friends, who had always admired his marriage to Amaka, grew concerned about the changes in his life. You've been different lately, one of them said during a lunch meeting. And not in a good way. Kenechukwu sighed, running a hand through his hair. It's just been a lot. The business, the kids, everything. You know, his friend said carefully, maybe things started going wrong when you sent Amaka away. Kenechukwu stiffened. That's not fair. Amaka wasn't the woman I thought she was. Are you sure about that? The friend pressed. Or is that what someone wanted you to believe? Kenechukwu's friends devised a plan to reveal the truth. If you want to see who really cares about you, act like you've gone blind, one of them suggested. Pretend it was an accident at the office. You'll find out who's there for you when you're at your weakest. Kenechukwu hesitated, but eventually agreed. It's not just about Chica, he admitted. I need to know if I made a mistake with Amaka. When Kenechukwu returned home that evening, he wore a pair of dark glasses and walked with a cane. I had an accident at work, he told Chica, his voice strained. The doctor says I've lost my sight. It might be permanent. Chica gasped, rushing to his side. Oh my God, Keen. This is terrible, she exclaimed, wrapping her arms around him. But her mind raced with questions. Blind? How will this affect our lives? At first, Chica put on a show of care, guiding him around the house and ensuring he was comfortable. But as the days passed, her initial concern began to wane. Her patience quickly wore thin. She snapped at Kenechukwu when he needed help around the house and began avoiding him altogether. You can't keep expecting me to do everything for you, she said one evening, her voice sharp. Chica started staying out late, using her business as an excuse, and Kenechukwu noticed the subtle shift. She spent more time focusing on her affairs, both business and personal, while neglecting him entirely. Believing Kenechukwu couldn't see, Chica became brazen, even bringing other men into the house. Kenechukwu sat quietly in the living room one evening, pretending to be asleep as Chica entertained a man in the kitchen. Their voices were low, but he could hear their laughter and flirtation. Don't worry about him, Chica said. He doesn't even know we're here. Her betrayal deepened as she became more reckless, even having an affair with the gateman, who helped cover her tracks. The household staff whispered about her behavior, but no one dared to confront her. One day, while rummaging through Kenechukwu's office, Chica found what she believed were the property documents for the house. Her mind raced with schemes to sell it and leave Kenechukwu behind. I deserve better than this, she thought. But Kenechukwu, who had been silently observing, had reached his limit. He called his friend Amaka and said, I've seen enough. Take me to Amaka. The drive to Amaka's modest apartment was tense. Kenechukwu, overwhelmed with regret, struggled to find the words he would say to her. You have to be honest with her, Amaka said as they pulled up to the building. She deserves that much. Kenechukwu nodded, gripping his cane tightly. I don't even know if she'll let me in. When they knocked on the door, Amaka opened it, her face a mixture of surprise and caution. Keen, she asked, her voice tinged with disbelief. I need your help, Amaka, he said softly, his voice breaking. Amaka hesitated, unsure of how to respond. The sight of him, visibly broken and vulnerable, stirred emotions she thought she had buried. What do you want from me? She asked, her tone guarded. Kenechukwu removed his dark glasses, revealing his bandaged eyes. I can't see, Amaka. I had an accident. Amaka said no one else could care for me the way you can. Please, for the sake of our children, help me. Amaka looked at Amaka, who nodded silently. Her first instinct was to refuse, but then she thought of Ada and Namdi. Whatever her feelings for Kenechukwu, he was still their father. You can stay, she said finally, but don't think this changes anything between us. As days turned into weeks, Amaka cared for Kenechukwu with quiet strength. She prepared his meals, guided him around the apartment, and ensured he took his medication. Though she kept her distance emotionally, Her actions spoke volumes. One night, Kenechukwu broke down, tears streaming from his bandaged eyes. "I'm sorry, Amaka," he whispered, "for everything. I don't deserve your kindness." Amaka didn't respond, but her heart ached. She wasn't ready to forgive him, not yet. When Ada and Namdi visited, their joy was palpable. "Daddy!" Ada cried, running into his arms. Kenechukwu held them tightly, his heart swelling with regret. He realized how much he had missed these moments and vowed never to take them for granted again. Amaka watched from the doorway, her expression unreadable. For the first time, she began to see glimpses of the man she had fallen in love with. Amaka's care for Kenechukwu was more than just duty. It was love in its purest form. She stayed up late to ensure he was comfortable, even when she was exhausted. She defended him fiercely when others doubted his ability to recover. Though she tried to maintain emotional distance, small acts betrayed her feelings. She adjusted his pillow when he wasn't looking, made his favorite meals, and hummed lullabies as she worked around the house. For Kenechukwu, every moment was a reminder of what he had lost. One evening, as Amaka helped him to bed, Kenechukwu couldn't hold back anymore. "Amaka," he said, his voice trembling, "I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I need you to know the truth." She froze. "What truth?" "About Chica," he said, tears streaming down his face. "She lied about everything. She manipulated me, poisoned our marriage, and turned me against you. I didn't see it until it was too late." Amaka's hands clenched into fists. "You chose to believe her over me," she said bitterly. "You sent me away." "I know," he said, his voice breaking, "and I regret it every single day. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I had to tell you." That night, Amaka cried herself to sleep. The pain of betrayal still burned, but so did the love she had buried deep within her heart. The next morning, she made a decision. "If you truly want to make amends, you need to confront Chica," she told Kenechukwu. "I will," he promised. Kenechukwu, with Amaka's help, returned to the house he had once shared with Chica. What he found confirmed his worst fears. She was in the living room with the gateman, laughing and flirting openly. Papers lay on the table, fake documents for the sale of the house. Kenechukwu, still pretending to be blind, stumbled into the room. Chica froze, her face pale. "Keen, what are you doing here?" she stammered. "Listening," he said coldly, removing his glasses, "watching everything I needed to see." Chica's jaw dropped. You can see?" Kenechukwu nodded. "And now, I see you for who you truly are." As Chica scrambled to explain herself, Amaka entered the room with Amaka. "It's over, Chica," Amaka said, her voice steady. Chica broke down, confessing her jealousy and schemes. "I wanted your life," she sobbed. "I wanted everything you had." Chica packed her things and left, leaving her lies and betrayal behind. Kenechukwu and Amaka returned to their home with their children, determined to rebuild what had been broken. It wasn't easy, but with time, love, and effort, they began to heal. As Kenechukwu knelt before Amaka one evening, holding her hands, he said, "I will spend the rest of my life making this right." And for the first time in months, Amaka smiled. Years had passed since the storm that had nearly torn the Obi family apart. In the calm that followed, Kenechukwu and Amaka had found their way back to each other, rebuilding not just their home, but the deep, unbreakable bond they had once shared. The scars of the past remained, but they no longer defined them. Kenechukwu had worked tirelessly to regain his family's trust. He had rebuilt his business from the ground up, making sound decisions and ensuring that no one, especially Amaka, would have to worry about financial instability again. But more importantly, he had earned back his family's respect, starting with his children. Amaka had always been the backbone of the family. Her forgiveness had been hard-earned, but it had allowed her to let go of the bitterness that had once consumed her. She had raised their children with love and discipline, teaching them the importance of integrity and compassion.